The emergence of Dalit feminist theory responds to the pressing need to address the limitations of mainstream Indian feminism and to center the experiences and perspectives of Dalit women within feminist discourse. This theory seeks not only to supplement but also to transform Indian feminism, making it more responsive to the diverse realities of gender justice in India. One of the key challenges facing Indian feminism is the dominance of caste privileged feminists who often claim to represent all women's issues in India. This monopolization of feminist discourse by a privileged few is problematic as it overlooks the unique experiences and struggles of Dalit women who occupy subordinate positions in society. There has been a theoretical assertion that a contemporary theory of gender is impossible in the Indian context, particularly due to the inability to homogenize women's experiences, especially across caste lines. Dalit feminist theory aims to address these challenges by critically examining and redefining mainstream Indian feminism from a Dalit perspective. This involves rethinking concepts such as patriarchy, feminism, and difference in a caste sensitive manner. By foregrounding the intersection of gender and caste, Dalit feminist theory seeks to fill the gaps in mainstream feminist discourse and offer a more comprehensive understanding of gender based inequality in India. The neglect of Dalit perspectives within Indian feminism has led to both theoretical and ideological flaws within the movement. Mainstream Indian feminism has often sidelined the caste question, leading to the perception that feminism itself perpetuates the subjugation of Dalit women. To rectify this oversight, Dalit feminist theory interrogates and redefines feminist ideals from the standpoint of Dalit women's experiences, thereby contributing to a more inclusive and effective feminist praxis. By including Dalit feminist thought, Indian feminism can move closer towards its goal of achieving freedom, equality, and solidarity for all women. This inclusion allows for a more collective understanding of gender injustice and opens up avenues for solidarity across caste and class lines. Dalit feminist theory offers a necessary redefinition of Indian feminism, one that acknowledges that intersectional nature of gender oppression and works towards a more just and equitable society for all. The recent name and shame movement, catalyzed by Me Too, and the ensuing debate sparked by the Kafila blog criticizing this movement and advocating for due process, highlights the underlying tension between Dalit feminist perspectives and mainstream Indian feminist ideology. This tension has historical roots, evident in past instances such as the anti Mandal agitation and responses to the ban on bar dancing in Maharashtra. The anti Mandal protests saw placards held by upper caste women expressing their disapproval of unemployed husbands, showcasing a disconnect between different caste groups within feminist movements. Similarly, the ban on bar dancing in Maharashtra elicited divergent responses, with Dalit feminists supporting the ban due to concerns about the occupation leading to prostitution, while Marxist feminists opposed it, viewing it as a form of moral policing. Nivedita Menon's perspective on sex work, which emphasizes the agency of women in choosing such work, contrasts with the views of Dalit feminists. Menon argues that sex work should be respected as a legitimate choice similar to other forms of labor. However, Dalit feminists contend that the choices available to Dalit women are constrained by structural inequalities, making the notion of agency in sex work problematic. The National Federation of Dalit Women and the National Campaign on Dalit Human Rights have highlighted the structural violence inherent in caste based linkages between sexuality and labor. Dalit feminist theorist Sharmila Rege argues that Dalit women's entry into sex work is often dictated by their caste status and societal expectations rather than genuine choice. Critics of Ambedkar's views on prostitution accuse him of demeaning women, but his perspective sheds light on the systemic factors that drive Dalit women into such occupations. Ambedkar's analysis underscores the importance of addressing caste based inequalities in understanding issues related to gender and labor. Sharmila Rege emphasizes the intersectionality of caste, class, and gender in shaping the lives of Dalit women. She argues that the notion of sex work as a profession overlooks the systemic constraints faced by Dalit Bahujan women, highlighting the need for Indian feminist thought to engage with these intersecting axes of oppression. An important point of contention between mainstream Indian feminism and Dalit feminism revolves around the significance of intersectionality. Dalit feminist theory utilizes intersectionality to address the peculiarities of patriarchy in India, which are often overlooked by mainstream Indian feminism. Nivedita Menon challenges the applicability of intersectionality in the Indian context. Mary E. John and Meena Gopal advocates for the inclusion of intersectionality in Indian feminist discourse. Menon argues that intersectionality originating from Western experiences may not be applicable to non Western contexts like India. She questions the transferability of concepts across different spaces, expressing discomfort with addressing caste issues. Mary E. John criticizes Menon's dismissal of intersectionality, emphasizing its importance in understanding gender justice. She argues that intersectionality offers a nuanced approach, challenging the notion of multiple identities by highlighting the interconnectedness of race, class, caste, and gender. Meena Gopal highlights Menon's failure to systematically address the problematic aspects of intersectionality. Menon's assertion that a single axis framework was never predominant in India is scrutinized by Gopal, who argues that such oversimplifications overlook the complex debates within the women's movement. Menon also contends that the category of woman is unstable due to intersecting identities like caste, religion, and region. However, John argues that destabilization alone does not guarantee inclusivity, citing the nuanced politics within the Indian women's movement. Menon's claim that intersectionality weakens the feminist struggle by associating women with identities other than gender is challenged by John, who emphasizes the potential of intersectionality to build solidarity across diverse subjects. Menon's argument that intersectionality facilitates governmentalizing and depoliticizing gender is countered by John, who suggests that these concerns oversimplify the potential of intersectionality. Menon's criticism of intersectionality's legal provenance and the instability of identities is questioned by Gopal, who points out the need for clarity in Menon's arguments. Menon's vague stance on intersectionality prompts Dalit feminist theorists to advocate for its inclusion in Indian feminist discourse. The reluctance of mainstream Indian feminism to engage seriously with intersectionality reflects a reluctance to confront caste privilege, hindering progress towards gender justice for all. The patriarchy prevalent in India today is heavily influenced by Brahmanical patriarchy, a term coined by Dr. Ambedkar. This concept, also known as graded inequality, explains a specific form of patriarchy characterized by hierarchical organization of society based on caste, which is unique to the Indian subcontinent. Within this structure, upper caste men hold the most privilege, followed by upper caste women, lower caste men, and finally lower caste women who face the most deprivation. Others occupy positions between these frames based on their caste and gender location within the system. Lower caste women are particularly vulnerable to violence as they face oppression at multiple levels: caste, class, and gender. Dalit women experience discrimination both in the vertical structure of society based on caste and in the horizontal structure based on gender. Uma Chakravarti argues that understanding gender issues necessitates considering the caste question within the Indian social structure. For instance, the occurrence of honor killings often stems from couples defying caste norms by choosing partners outside their caste. It is crucial to note that Brahmanical patriarchy does not solely refer to patriarchal practices among Brahmin men, but signifies the multifaceted nature of patriarchy against women in India. Anyone who upholds or perpetuates discrimination based on the hierarchical caste structure can be considered a follower of Brahmanism, regardless of their caste or gender. Ambedkar regarded patriarchy as inseparable from Brahmanism, highlighting how caste and gender are intertwined to maintain endogamy and restrict women's sexuality. Dalit women, in particular, face disproportionately public acts of violence, primarily due to their status as laborers. Violence against Dalits serves as a means to enforce caste hierarchy and punish those who challenge it. Sharmila Rege emphasizes the need to analyze the intersection of caste and gender to understand the unique experiences faced by Dalit women. For example, the case of Banwari Devi illustrates how caste, gender, and class intersect to produce a specific form of discrimination. A single axis framework fails to capture the complexity of her marginalization. Therefore, Dalit feminist thought emphasizes the interconnectedness of caste, gender, and class to challenge Brahmanical patriarchy. Recognizing the Dalit difference is essential for achieving true feminism, as it requires addressing gender based issues while centering the caste question. Renowned feminists such as Mary Wollstonecraft, Simone de Beauvoir, and Judith Butler have extensively deliberated on feminist theory, yet a crucial aspect has often been overlooked. Kimberly Crenshaw's critique from the perspective of black feminism highlights the neglect of race within first world feminism and introduces intersectionality as a means to acknowledge the difference inherent in existing feminist philosophy. This difference refers to the unique discrimination faced by black women due to intersecting race, gender, and class oppressions. Patricia Hill Collins further theorizes this difference, underscoring its significance in ensuring gender justice for all women. Similarly, third world feminists have embraced the idea of difference and intersectionality based on their diverse positionalities. However, mainstream feminists have historically rejected intersectionality, refusing to acknowledge internal differences among third world women while asserting their own distinctiveness from third world feminists. Sharmila Rege critiques the notion of difference from a Dalit feminist standpoint, arguing that feminist discourse remains incomplete without incorporating the Dalit perspective. She contends that mainstream feminism fails to capture the unique marginalization experienced at the intersection of various forms of discrimination. Drawing inspiration from Ambedkar's insights, Rege emphasizes the intrinsic connection between caste and gender, exemplified in practices like sati, enforced widowhood, and child marriage, which serve to control women's sexuality and sustain the caste system. Addressing the challenge of theorizing Dalit difference, Rege revisits the evolution of feminist discourse and advocates for a Dalit feminist standpoint. She asserts the necessity of locating difference within the historical struggles of marginalized women and underscores the role of caste in shaping experiences of violence against women.